Hello, hello! It's Chris the Frog of Sewer Spewer here once again to go through some new music releases that came out in the past month here in Jojage, or so-called Montreal, and so-called Quebec in so-called Canada. And in this video, I'll be running through releases that came out in August of 2025. But before we get to that, in my video last month, I said that there weren't that many releases for July, and I guess I was wrong because I missed quite a few releases, so I'm just going to run through them very quickly just to make sure that I have covered all of my bases. And my most sincere apologies to all of those that I've missed. I'm finally getting around to it. The first being indie rock band Karma Glider and their debut album From the Haze of a Revved Up Youth, which is now out through Mothland Records. And this album is very nostalgic in both its sound and its themes, and it has the frontman Sushil Sharma looking back on his days of youth when he was a bit more reckless and a bit more intoxicated. Now being sober, he's able to look back on this part of his life with a bit more clarity. Then there's alt-rock, dream pop bedroom artist Fionavair and her debut EP, Gauntlet. And this EP has a very dreamy vibe to it in both the vocals and the instruments. And Fionavair played all of the instruments on this EP except for the violin. And also, my homeboy Jordan Barricade did the mastering for it. Next is metalcore band Sawyer Path and their new EP, Broken Memories. And like a lot of modern metalcore bands, there's a mix of harsh vocals and clean melodic vocals. And also on this EP, there are a lot of djenty rhythm sections with a lot of finger-picking solos, as well as melodic choruses. And finally, the last of the releases that I missed out on in July is coming from the progressive alt-rock collective The Show Continues in January with their debut album, July. And I really went through a journey listening to this album. It really runs through the whole gamut of emotions, and there's parts in between songs where there's bits of poetry. So it's very a beautiful experience listening to this. Okay, now moving on to releases that came out in August. First, we have another metalcore band, Earthshade, and their debut EP called Stellar. And there's really a variety of vocal styles on this EP. You have your clean melodics, low gutturals, these very high-pitched wails, and there's also guest vocals from Jeremy St. Denis of the band Waste, as well as members of Outlier, who I'll be talking about later on in this video. Next up, we have a new album from Montreal punk veterans Barricade Mentale, called Activité Humaine. And I think it's been more than 20 years since the last album that Barricade Mentale put out. And this album goes by really fast. The songs are very short. And they also have a re-recording of a classic song from Barricade Mentale called Star System. Next, we have new power metal band Bloodstone and their debut EP, Ecstasy of Battle. And it has everything that you would come to expect from a power metal band: high-pitched vocals, classic heavy metal guitar riffs, and songs about war, battle, and sword fighting. Next, we have a new sludge metal band called Méthodique and their debut EP, Police Verso. And this is a really relatively new band. I don't think they've even played live yet, but I really enjoy their hardcore tinged vocals with a lot of back and forth between singers. Next, we have another metalcore band, Eden Will Burn, and their debut album, Tales of Torment. And funny story about this band, a while back I had actually auditioned to be their singer, but my vocal style really wasn't a good fit, and I'm glad that they ended up going with the vocalist that they have now because it really fits the vibe. And also, if you are a very big fan of abrasive riffs, then this one has it by the boatload. Next is electronic shoegaze artist No Joy and her new album Bugland, which is out through Hand Drawn Dracula. And on this album, she did a collaboration with Chicago multi-instrumentalist Fire Tools. And I'm not as familiar with No Joy's previous releases, but this has a very eclectic sound to it, so there's really a lot to chew on. Next up, we have a new post-punk band called Ways of Hiding with their new debut self-titled EP. And I really liked how laid back and cool the vibe is on this EP. It really sounds like all of the members were wearing sunglasses while they were recording, if that makes any sense. Next, we have indie artist Frown Line and their debut album, What's Left Over. And if I understand correctly, Frown Line began as a solo project out of Ottawa, but then the main singer-songwriter moved to Montreal, and now it's a full band. And this album is really just a collection of singles that the band have been putting out since 2021. Next up, we have dance punk band Precious Friends and their new EP, New Nose and the Bird Boys. And I really wasn't prepared for how weird this EP gets. And it really devolves into these spacey jams near the end. And I felt like I was really zoning out and kind of in another world by the end of it. Next is a post-hardcore band that I had previously mentioned in this video, Outlier, and their second EP, In a Room Full of Broken Glass. And I want to give a shout out to the homie Cody Dodds for the vocals that he pulls off on this EP. They really give me goosebumps listening to it because it reminds me of when I heard these songs for the first time, seeing them perform at Pontésable Fest earlier this year. And speaking of homies, the next release is the demo from new crossover thrash crust punk band Neurotoxic Cocktail, which has former members of the now defunct punk band Teenage Mutant Bottle Throwers. And I want to give a particular shout out to the drummer Tyler, who is also a big fan of my band, so I promise someday we will play together again. After that, we have new hardcore band Repossessed and their demo Repo Style, which is out through Be About It Records. And they also had their live debut at Be About It Fest. And Be About It keeps on coming up on this demo because on the final song, they repeat the lines, "Be about it or get the fuck out." So, be about it. Next, we have working class folk punk band Union Thugs and their sequel to their previous EP called Coup de Grisou 2. And I had to double check, but I'm happy that the band has replaced their accordion player because their previous one was problematic to say the least. So good on you for replacing them. After that, we have ska punk band Downtown Fiasco and their debut album, Look at the Sun. And is it fair to compare this band to Streetlight Manifesto? Because I really get that kind of vibe from them. And I have a lot of fun listening to the brass section parts on this album. And speaking of ska, next are Montreal ska legends, the Planet Smashers, and their 10th album, On the Dance Floor, which is out through Stomp Records. And after first listen, it's not my favorite Planet Smashers album, but it's definitely up there. And it features not one, but two songs with Neville Staple of the legendary British ska band The Specials. And I also want to give a shout out to the artist of the album cover, Scorpion Dagger, for their kind of weird Monty Python-esque style. Next is D-Beat band Recall and their new self-titled EP, which is out through the Richmond, Virginia label 11 PM Records. And this really has a raw punk sound to it. It sounds like it's coming out of a broken speaker. It has a lot of feedback and really over-the-top vocals. Next, we have a relatively new band called Too Bad and their debut EP, Music to Burn Your House Down To. And I've heard of this band because the drummer used to be in another band called Old School Johnny, so shout out Aaron. And on this EP, there's really a mix of funk and blues rock, but also grunge, and there's a little bit of horror punk on the final track too. Okay, we're almost at the end, so next we got to talk about the psychedelic rock band Pontésable and their new album, L'Éclaircie. And there's a lot of saxophone solos on this album, as well as a few flute solos. So yeah, a very interesting listen. And finally is a release that is very close to my heart from the noisecore band Duplah Pootch Hanichan Gasoliiine, spelt with 3 I's, and their new EP, All Dress, All Dress, All Dress. And one of the members of Duplah Pootch also plays in my black metal band, Piracy and Death Cult. So shout out Maeve. I'm really proud of what she does on this EP because a while back, their original singer had left the band. So Maeve had to step up and take on vocal duties as well as playing bass. And she absolutely kills it on this EP. She does such a great job, and I'm so proud of her. And the sound of this band is super chaotic and noisy and really all over the place. But I'm a particular fan of the middle track, which is a Lynchian interlude with some saxophone in it. But I really like the title of it. It's called Introduction à la violence oculaire, module 1. Être trans dans une pub pendant la UFC. So shout out to Maeve, who probably came up with that title. And yeah, go see Duplah Pootch live because they are a blast to see. And be sure you keep your eyes on the drummer Emile because he always brings a bunch of props to play around with on stage, and it's always very entertaining. And so that's it. Thank you again for watching the video. If you've gotten this far, thank you for letting me yap about music and the Montreal scene. And I've made a YouTube playlist of all the songs that I could find on YouTube. Some of them are only available on Bandcamp, but go check out that playlist if you want to hear what these bands sound like. And go check them out live if you can, if you're living in Montreal, because not a lot of them go on tour. But if you want to support me and follow me, then go to the link in the description of this video, and that will bring you to my link tree where you can find me on social media, where I am dropping listings and videos every week talking about all of the shows that are happening in Montreal every week. And I also have a Patreon account if you want to support me with the service that I'm providing. So go to patreon.com/sewerspewer where you can sign up for $2 a month. And all the money that I get from Patreon, I give back to artists by buying their music off of Bandcamp to make my weekly playlists. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for next month's video where I'll talk about releases that have come out in September. We're almost at the end of the year. This is wild. How did I manage to make a video each month? Wow, I'm proud of myself. Good job, Chris. Anyway, thanks for watching, and until next month, ribbit ribbit.